It's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, this is Ivy Slater. Welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. I am honored and thrilled to bring this guest to you today. Starr Oldorff is the founder and CEO of Done For You. Done For You is a virtual business management and implementation business. She has clients and supports clients and brands across the country as well as locally for her businesses. I will say more importantly, Starr also leads the back-end operations for Slater Success and has for years. So when all those systems, you say, hey, how does Ivy get all this marketing out? How does Ivy get all of these systems out? How does Ivy stay on top of her emails? How does Ivy stay on top of her calendar? How does Ivy stay and just finish the word with? Because of Starr and her team, she has created, developed, and most importantly, implemented some of the best back-end operations and smooth sailing that this team has had. So it is my honor and my pleasure to have you on Her Success Story today.
Ivy, this is my pleasure. You know, I never even thought about this as a possibility, and I'm so excited to be here. I am so excited that you came into my life. I know this is about me, but I have to say that you're one of the best people that I've ever worked with, you know, since I've been in business for myself, and it's a real pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So let's jump in with, how did this business start? I mean, how did it start up for you? Why this type of business? How did it work for you? Let's get a little bit of that beginning nugget in.
Well, I've never been a career woman because I was a young mother and I made that choice early on. However, I've always worked for small businesses. There came a period in my life where I was working in the nonprofit space. And when I worked in the nonprofit space, I was able to venture out and see how other businesses did things and meet new people. And when I was working with one nonprofit in particular, I worked closely with the board. I was the executive assistant and the right hand of the founder of the nonprofit. And I was working with a board member one day, and, you know, he was a politician in Washington, and he's like, you know, you really should start your own business. And I'm like, doing what? He's like, doing what you do. You're so good at it. He said, you could start a virtual assistant business. And I'm like, and he said, you could have clients all over the place, all over the US. And I'm like, well, how does that work? And I was studying business at the time. I was working on my degree. He said, well, you use software, you know, you work virtually. And they weren't teaching us that in business school. And I thought, I love the idea because I'm entrepreneurial in nature, but I couldn't grasp how I could have clients all over the US. So I filed it away and I kept working. And, you know, the idea would resurface every now and then. And then a few years after that conversation, the opportunity came along. Someone who I know very well, it turns out that she is my daughter. She had started a virtual assistant business, and I didn't even know she was doing it. And she's like, hey, Mom, my business is growing and I need help. And I know your business background and how good you are in business. Do you want to come help me? And I'm like, I don't know if I understand this business model. I don't know if I can learn the tech.
And what will this be about? How will this work?
Yeah, it's like, I just don't know. And she said, trust me, you'll get it. If you don't get it in 3 months, you never will, but you will get this. And so I almost said no, but then I said yes. And I thought, opportunity has presented itself. I'm going to take the opportunity. It doesn't matter what the outcome is.
So let me ask you this. What do you see in like, I know what you do for Slater Success, but I want to ask on the bigger scale, what do you see as the themes in that the problems that you solve for your clients? Like, what do people call you in? I will say, you know, listeners, while Starr thinks about this, I will say, you know, I was referred to Starr, how long we worked together? 4+ years or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. I've always had, probably for close to 15, 16 years, somebody in a right-hand position. Because when I transitioned from owning my printing company, Slater Graphics, the thought of me doing all that back end crap, I was like, that's not my skill set. I'm not great with that. I need somebody to take care of this for me, because then I could stay in my sweet spot. But when you look at myself, Slater Success as a client, plus the tons of other clients done for you has, what do you see that you're called in for? What is the problems you solve for people out there?
Well, I am a problem solver and I solve a lot of problems. The high level problem that I'm solving is that the business owner needs time to focus on their passion and to focus on business development. And they also want a quality of life where they're not working 24/7. So they want time and they want freedom. And how that funnels down is maybe they have marketing to do, they have emails to answer, they have clients that need to be taken care of, as far as their admin and things like that. So they want to hand off. Usually when I'm brought in, they're wanting to hand off some piece of that marketing or admin work. And so me and my team, we take that on, but how it develops is that they realize at some point in the process that I have a problem solving brain and that it works in systems and processes and I don't do anything. It just comes out that way. So then it's like, hey, we're having this problem. And I get really excited and I get an adrenaline rush because that means I get to solve a problem. And so it starts off as usually as implementation and it ends up in being someone's partner in business to help them, solve their problems and further their businesses.
So, interesting point and fact. One of the things I love working with you on, and I've said to you, get rid of on my stuff, like delegate as much of my stuff to your team as possible, because I love working with your brain. And I'm going to explain a little bit of that. You have brought value to myself and my team in your creativity and, more than anything, your innovation space. I'm going to share something you don't know I'm going to share. So previously, you have to see Starr's face, people. Previously, Starr was a chef. And so what she brings in the thinking is she brings this process of going through a recipe with a precision, but willing to be innovative and different. And I think that's your chef background, how it has highlighted, but you bring the sense of innovation and advancement, and you push me there.
That's really exciting for me. You're making me excited right now. It has to do with why. It's like, and it has to do with why not. I want to know, I want things to be efficient, first of all. Everything, the process has to be efficient, no wasting of time. But the second thing is I'm not bound by current thinking. I always want to know what's coming down the pipeline. And so I'm instinctively looking ahead as to how can we make this that's working very well, how can we make it better? How can we adopt a new system or process or business thing that's come along to make the business function better, grow better, and continue to exist, really.
And, so it's interesting. And I know you've done some other interviews around, literally focused around AI and how you're using it not as a writing tool, but as a productivity and efficiency tool. And you have pushed me and shown me things. And then it's funny because then I come back to Starr and I was like, oh my goodness, I was at another meeting, another association or another conference. There was another session on AI, and we're already in this. But we're not using it. So I don't want to create any illusions out there that are not truths. All of the writing, all the marketing, everything is written, but you use it as an efficiency tool. And I think that has been such an asset and such brilliance. Can you share, like, how do you do that? How did this come to you, by the way?
Well, I first tried AI a couple years ago while I was on vacation to solve one of my own problems, and that was that I don't ever have enough time to write content. And I didn't like it as a content creation tool. So I'm like, I don't need this. And then last November, I guess it was about November, all of a sudden AI came on the scene. There's this big AI explosion, and this is where business is going. And so the first tool that I tried was Otter because we had a need for transcripts, and it works very well, and it saves time, and it helps two different platforms talk to each other so that we don't have to get into the mix. The second thing that I tried was Chat GPT, and I've learned the secret of Chat GPT, and I've learned that there is so much that you can do with it. And so one of the things that I'm doing with it right now is most of the businesses that I work with are trying to scale, and they're trying to remove themselves from the day-to-day operations. And
And
so
I'm going to jump in and say it's really important when you're scaling
mhm,
to know what is taking your time that's taking you away
mhm.
from the process of scaling and the actions around scaling that can be taken care of elsewhere or that you're a bottleneck to.
Exactly. And normally in every business, it's normal for the business owner to be the bottleneck, as far as
Lord knows I
process.
am. I own it. I know I am. I am.
We all are. And so what I'm using chat for right now is I already create systems and processes. That's easy for me. Now I'm trying to use it to create systems and processes that remove the business owner from the process altogether so that the team can make decisions in behalf of accurate decisions, not just decisions, but accurate decisions in behalf of the business owner so that they can do what they love and go out there and meet people and develop new business because that's where they thrive. And so that will create that's one way to use AI to create a more efficient business.
And I know we have used AI to expedite different things, application processes and things like that, that I stay in that labor of love of writing and writing and writing and rewriting and rewriting. And you're like, just give me what you download, what you have, download what you have. And you take the summary of what I have and you put it in and you ask them a specific question about, pulling out the 3 to 5 talking points and a summary, and like all of a sudden all the rewriting I used to do of the same, which is my content, my piece, is so much more succinct, clear, and it stays in our brand. It's in my brand voice because it's my work.
And the key to that is the key is in the prompts in Chat GPT. If you give a generic general prompt, you're going to get generic general output. If you're very specific in your prompt, you're going to get what you're looking for as far as voice and process and everything, because you're very specific in the outline that you're giving it to work within.
Love this information. Let's also talk about, what has it been like for you to scale your own business? How has that been, comfortable or uncomfortable for you when you support so many companies that are scaling?
Well, honestly, it's been a slow road, and it's been very hard because I've bootstrapped my business from the beginning. Single mom, 2 kids, making very little money. And so the money that I did make had to go into paying the bills. And to grow a business, you have to have money to invest in your business. And when you have an online business, one of the ways that you invest money is by attending trainings and conferences and conventions so that you can meet new people. Because one of the keys is meeting new people. And so, you have to have money to invest. So that's made it very slow. But that also taught me a lesson. It taught me how to build a sustainable business. If you can keep a business growing with very little money and you can make it through COVID, then I'm confident that I can continue to make this business grow. But it's been hard because there's that fine balance between having enough money to pay the bills and having enough money to pay the team. So I'm always trying to achieve that fulcrum of balance so that I can continue to do both. And it will go up and it will go down. But I have, let's see, I think I have 4 regular people on my team and a few other consultants that I pull in as needed.
Okay, wow. I didn't even know you had that many.
Yeah, I do, and I'm enjoying it. I love the handoff process. I like being removed from the implementation piece. I love project management and, to be able to focus on, the brain stuff. But it's been hard, and you've pushed me a lot to develop my team when I felt like I wasn't ready. And one thing that you've always said, and I know that it's true because I've experienced it in my case, is that don't wait until you need to have a team to build a team. And I always tend to wait, and then you're scrambling for a couple of months and you're under a lot of pressure trying to get all the processes and everything together and get them onboarded and into the flow of implementing work. And there's all that, you experience all that stress that you don't have to experience if we would do it the way that Ivy says to do it, as far as growing and scaling your team.
It is true. I always say hiring comes in the process of the activities to scale, not once you're already growing rapidly, because then you're behind the 8 ball, not having the staff and the team to implement. And that all of a sudden can end up in loss of the great clients you're bringing on.
Absolutely.
And the business that you're building. And that becomes, and then it's like, you see, it didn't work. I'm not ready to scale. It's like, no, you didn't hire.
That's
exactly. Up. People, it takes time to train. You and I talk about this. The Slater Success team, we have people who've been with us for about 6 months now. And it takes a good 6 months to have people running well and efficient and smart and working, our people work really well together. And I think our team is fabulous, but we also have a team who's always willing to lean in to learn and grow together, which is a huge bonus.
Absolutely. And even if you get the most expert of experts in a given area, whether it's like entreport or bookkeeping or graphic design, whatever it is, they don't need to be trained in that, but they have to understand your process. And because they have their own processes, they have to understand what your clients want, even though they know how to do things. So that's part of the training, is getting them into your workflow and into your client's headspace of what their expectations are, and into the quality of service that this company already provides. And it does take time.
So let me just actually, because I think this is helpful for our listeners. If we have listeners who are thinking of bringing in some virtual team, a company, whether it's like Starr's company done for you, or there's a lot of other companies out there, because we're highlighting a process. What are some of the things that you do for your clients? Because I probably don't even know everything.
Well, I'll start with implementation pieces of it. We do all sorts of marketing implementation, blog, newsletter, social media content creation, graphic design. We do website updates. I do have, if someone needs major website updates, I do have consultants that I work with that know how to build websites. So we do that. Podcast implementation and production. I'm probably forgetting some things. When we move on to the admin piece,
all the marketing pieces.
Oh yeah, all the
marketing from social media to newsletters, blogs. I know all that. Huge asset.
All things admin, calendar management, inbox management.
I actually am going to jump in here because I was just at a conference with about 100 attorneys, and there was in the town hall, there was a discussion about how do you trust to delegate your inbox and your calendar. And there was about 4 or 5 of us in the room who have supports who are in our inbox and calendar. And there was the balance of 90 something, whatever, who are like, can you really trust? And we were talking about it, and people were asking me afterwards, Ivy, how did you develop the trust? How do you develop? And I said, I shared the tip that we did, when you started first with our calendar, with the Slater Success calendar and my calendar, we meet about that every month of what things are looking like. And this is where Starr is brilliant. And I want to give you a huge shout out. And by the way, I did at the conference. You didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't. Thank you.
I said, this is when you have the right person in the role. If anybody had missed out, which I don't know where you have been in the Slater Success marketing, if you missed out that I had a granddaughter in February. When Starr and I met in mid-January, the beginning of January, about February's calendar, your question to me was, Ivy, I know we don't know the day your daughter's going to deliver, of course, but what do you want the calendar to look like around her delivery? And what are things that are important to you? Let me know that now so I can just handle it whenever it happens. That's when your team is the best team, because they're not just looking for my business. Starr was looking out for me, and you and your team were looking out for me. The next thing we did is when you started getting in my inbox, somebody raised their hand and they said, well, you need to give them rules. I'm like, and then I raised my hand and I was like, yeah, yes. And I was like, I can't even think of the rules that I've lived by 30, 40 years in my communication system. So Starr at the beginning, Starr and I would get on regularly and we'd go through my email, and you created the rules. So now even if you delegate things, it is my brain, my thoughts. You captured things you will pop in. I was just, on several conferences and vacation in April. And you would be popping in my inbox right under Ivy and say, hi, this is Starr. Ivy's EA. Ivy's out for a couple of days. I don't want your email to sit here. And you would just respond and move it. If it's a podcast thing, if it's a marketing thing, if it's a new meeting, and you just handled it. But you didn't. One thing I love about your integrity is you never came in disingenuous and responded as me. You respond as, hi, this is Starr, Ivy is EA, and you just move things forward. And you're so lovely about it that the response comes back to me. It's like, wow, you have a great team.
Well, Ivy, first of all, your people are great. You're the people that you connect with, your clients, they're all fabulous, great to work with. But back to what you were saying about creating the rules in the inbox. You do have some expectations. I'll call them expectations. And in the
100%.
beginning,
I'm set my ways and things 100%. You're being very kind.
In the beginning, I didn't know. I know some stuff from experience, but you're an individual. It's like, so I ask questions. Ivy, what about when this comes up? What about when that comes up? And then, after we worked together for a while, you would answer those questions, but then I would be able to see the flow of work. So then I could step in where I know I need to step in, and then leave things where I know I need to leave things. And there is an enormous amount of trust involved in the inbox management. So yeah, that's how that works. And it works very well for us. I think, honestly, I have to say this is a little bit off topic, but it's kind of related. You have this great business brain yourself, and it's such a pleasure to work with you because you really get business. You get all of business, even if it comes down to managing your inbox or the importance of marketing and building team. you get it, and it's like we speak the same language, and that's very exciting and gets my adrenaline going.
And I appreciate it. And we do. And because you do get business and you were raised in business in so many ways from your background and your family, that to have an asset that thinks business like you do makes everything I do that much easier. So listeners, if you have not already, I'm going to give you an Ivy tip, and then I'm going to ask Starr for a tip. So start thinking, girl. Here's what I'm going to say. If you find yourself overwhelmed, if you find yourself, well, I don't know what to delegate, or how do I do this? Give yourself the gift of 2 weeks. Yes, I said 2 weeks, and keep a list of everything you do. And after 2 weeks, take a red pen, a highlighter, whatever it is, on your computer or on a piece of paper, and highlight everything that doesn't move your business forward and hire. You know, for me, that was hiring Starr and then Starr's team. And we have other people in our team, you know, to just get things done. As a leader, it's the greatest gift to yourself. Starr, your tip.
Well, actually, I have two. One of them is a lot of business owners, they have systems and processes, but they're in their head. Get your systems and processes out of your head, either by yourself or get some help to do it, because getting those processes out of your head and into a document is going to be very beneficial in growing and scaling your company if that's what you want to do. And the other thing would be, I have found in my experience that it's very important for the people that I work with and with the people that I hire that we have values alignment. You know, when there's values alignment, it's going to work out. It's not like family. Things come up, they do come up, but when you have values alignment, you always have something that you can come back to. So that is one key to success.
I love that. And I think that's incredibly important. So here's the question for you listeners. Take a moment, take a breath. What was most helpful in listening to today's conversation between Starr and I? What was most helpful to you? Write it down somewhere and then make a decision around the action you're going to take for yourself and your company that it will be beneficial to you. Feel free to share that with us in the show notes. Email Slater Success, Ivy at SlaterSuccessCoaching.com. And if this was helpful, feel free to pass this forward to other people you know that it will be helpful too. Hit subscribe and we come into your inbox with great content like today's conversation with Starr. And see you next time. Starr, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Ivy. It's a pleasure.